Okay, hello everybody. We miss you. Have a nice Monday. Yeah, we're connecting. Yeah, 5 minutes before our usual time for our meeting. Hello. Hi, Lasita. Hello, Lasita. Lasita is here. Hello. Hi. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm
We
Lynn.
miss you. Good. Lena will connect now in bunch of seconds. Yeah. And we're waiting for other ladies. I just told to Lynn, that's it. I just told her that I love being together with these ladies on Monday Zoom meetings. We really enjoy every minute of our meeting. Yeah, Lynn is here. Yay. My beautiful lady is here. Yeah, there we go. Hi, Lena.
Hi, honey. How are you?
Great. Sister Lasita is
Oh,
here.
hi, Lasita.
Hello.
Now we're on the right week,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We're right where we should be.
You see how beautiful is my lady, Lasita? Look at her.
Yeah.
You know, the beautiful lady went to beautiful
Oh, give me a
beauty
break.
center last week. Oh my God, look at her.
Well, I'm hoping that Sanam comes because his top
I love
was
you.
decision. And
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Tofi. And Najette should be here. So it should be Najette and Fatam, and we'll see whether or not Christine comes. We'll have to wait.
Fatam,
And what
I
about
don't mean Fatam. I meant Najette, Christine,
Okay.
and whoever else is
Okay.
there.
So Najat said that she will do her best to be with us today.
Sanam, not Fatam.
Sanam, okay? Yeah. Everyone is welcome here. And I just said to Lynn, we are a family. We have the family spirit in this kind of meeting. And even we feel, I speak about myself, I feel so excited being with you all, better than if I was with my siblings and family. We are family. Go ahead, Nina.
I did hear from Leah. I did get another message from Leah on WhatsApp. And she's recuperating. She's not where she should be, but she feels a lot better than she did.
Great.
She's getting over her mother's death, which is a very difficult thing for her.
Yeah.
That's it. But I did hear from her. So I just sent her another message, and that's it.
Well, I did get really scared that she might die because we didn't hear from her for all this.
No, I'm so happy that I heard from her.
I know.
I was so worried. I even emailed her husband.
Yes.
I took like he didn't answer, but at least she got the message. That's all.
Yeah.
She sent me the messages just to quiet me down. I don't know.
Yeah.
But in case I was glad. Yeah, I was glad that she knows how persistent I can be. I was just glad to hear she was okay. That was all.
Lasita, how are your daughter and your granddaughters? How are they?
I have one living daughter, Grace,
Yeah.
and she lives in Vermont, and I have a son who lives in Pecos. And actually, we have a huge number of uncontrollable fires at the moment in New Mexico. And one of them is threatening the area that he lives in. So hopefully he won't lose his home out there. So that's pretty intense. I mean, it's just we have a huge number of people evacuating, and the whole town of Taos is in danger. So it's a very scary time. Yeah.
I contacted Shirley last night.
Yes.
Because I wanted to hear if what was going on with her, because I heard of all the fires in California. County, and she is in Orange County, but she's on the other side. So she said that she was okay, and she would try to come, but her brother's doctor was showing up. Her brother is still sick, and nothing has really been done. So she's just waiting. There's a doctor supposedly showing up today. If the doctor comes early, it's good. If he doesn't, then she can't make the meeting. So let's just play it by ear. It's only 1 o'clock now, so we're going to give them another 5 minutes and then we'll start.
So the doctor was making a home visit.
Yes. It happens to be that his daughter, who is in another town, in another state, found a doctor that would make a home visit.
Excellent.
Right. Well, because she can't push him to go to the doctor, and she wants to be there when the doctor comes, understandably.
Yes.
And I speak to Shirley all the time anyway. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay.
Right. But it would be nice if she was here with us. Yes. So we'll
100%. If it depends on the doctor's visit. And I haven't heard anything from her, so I don't know.
Right.
So,
and what do you hear from Vicky? I know you're in contact
every day. I speak to Vicky every day. Everything is good. Everything is going back to the way it should, slowly but surely. She's very busy with her granddaughter.
She has custody of the granddaughter.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
She's a beautiful daughter. My Gabby.
God, she's so cute.
Oh my God.
And the daughter is making a good recovery?
We hope.
Yeah.
I think so. I say we'll see. I told her I wasn't going to discuss it. I'm only discussing it with you.
Okay.
So,
right. But it is on the recording because...
Yeah, well, I don't know that he'll send this recording. Will only go to us. The people here, it's okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
If Vicky doesn't get the recording because she can't be here, so it doesn't matter.
Because she's full-time with the granddaughter.
Well, that's it. Usually, sometimes on Monday, she drops her off at a babysitter. But you know what? When you have a baby in your custody,
yes,
you have a little child. She's going to be 2 in August. You don't have time to do very much. So on those days that you drop her off with a babysitter, that's the time you have to do everything you can do.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I actually had almost no babysitting when my children were little because they weren't easy with anybody else. So I just had them almost all the time. But I wasn't trying to have a job. So Lynn, did you give birth to children yourself?
3.
Really?
Yeah, I have 3 children.
And where are they?
2 boys and a girl. 2 boys. One lives in Connecticut. One lives out in Long Island, and one is in Colorado.
And you have good contact with them?
Not at all. It's a family thing. It had to do with my brother and money and all kinds of bad things. Yeah. So I try not to go back there in my mind. But frankly, I do speak to one of my grandsons who I was closest to.
Yes.
He's now in California. So I speak to him, and that's it. I don't speak to anybody else. That's it.
We have each other, baby. You are my baby. I'm your baby.
Right, but that must be hard.
Yeah, it was in the beginning. That was many, many years ago, good 13 years ago. In the beginning, it was hard, and there were a lot of bad things that happened. And
that's it.
That's it. Private. That's all I could say. It's just wasn't a pleasant thing.
Privacy. Privacy. Yeah.
Speak. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too.
Love you more.
How is your boyfriend?
Genoa's doing very well.
His name is John?
Genoa, like the city in Italy.
You're right, exactly. In Italy, right.
Yeah, but he doesn't come from Italy, but he took the name once when he was on an acid trip, I believe. It may not have been acid. It was some kind of trip, and he was lying, spacing out. And his family has had history in sailing, and he saw the kind of sail that's a Genoa sail. And he thought, oh, I should change my name from George VII
wow.
to Genoa, because in his family, each time the first son would get this same name. So he became Genoa instead of George.
And he has,
Wow,
he
really?
has his own,
I
does
love
he have
that.
children?
He has 4 children,
Right, I
Mhm.
remember.
and none of them have children yet. So my
Okay.
grandchildren are like his vicarious grandchildren.
Oh,
Right.
wonderful.
And
How many grandchildren you have, Lasita? How many grandchildren?
3. There's
Wow.
2 boys, and the littlest is a girl. And
Oh,
she's adorable. And I just got a photo.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I can access it in here. You may not be able to see it from my picture.
Yeah.
But I got some photos this morning. And
Wow.
here, let me show you the little darling. So let's see if I can make it as big as possible. Isn't she sweet?
I can't
Whoa.
see. Really, I mean, it's hard to see the
We
face.
only see the white.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
only the white of,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so
We can
adorable.
see her.
Only the white.
Oh,
You can only see
my
white. No,
God.
it's like blue she's wearing.
Beautiful angel. I love her. How old is she?
A year and 5 months.
Wow.
Okay, she's not that far from Gabby.
She
who's
runs all
doing
over
all-
the place.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
She's just so adorable.
Yeah.
How often do you see her?
Sanam is
I've only
here.
ever seen her for a few days last June.
Hello, Sanam.
Okay.
So my daughter came with her as a baby last June.
Okay. Hi,
Hello,
Sanam.
Sanam.
Hello. Happy Monday, everyone. Hello.
Happy
Happy
Monday to you,
Monday.
dear.
I love your background.
Yeah, gorgeous.
We always have different backgrounds.
I try and be
Glor-
geek, you know.
Gloria's background, Gloria's background on Thursdays really gets to me. I love that background. I don't know where that's from. If she's I
Yeah.
know not in that place, but she has a background. You look at it on Thursday, you'll see what I mean.
Sure
Mhm.
thing, I will.
Okay,
All right.
great.
So
Okay,
how
we were
was your
waiting
week?
for you, especially because this is your topic. So
Yeah,
we're
how
gonna
was your
have you
weekend?
lead today's meeting.
Yes, we were talking about leadership. I think well, first, to Tofi's question, my weekend, as always, too short, but very nice. And, I guess, it's a season of a lot of hearing about graduations and things that are, and I think, as things kind of get back to, some sort of normal, like I'm seeing a lot of people having weddings and
Yeah.
gatherings and so forth. So I guess, you feel that in the spring and summer times. And, it's interesting. We were talking about, like, I think, like leadership quality or communication.
That's it. Communication.
I love the subject. I love the subjects you choose. And you know what? I want to learn. I have a lot of learning. Yeah.
Okay. So
No,
let's
absolutely. I think I'm learning as well. Like I think it's one of those things that I think, when I would go to, and this is why I think I learned maybe the most in volunteer projects, because, whenever you go, there are patrons you're serving, right? Whether it's kids that you're tutoring or homeless people that you may be serving a meal to or what have you. And, they may be having a rough day. They may be having, whatever issue. And you as a volunteer need to kind of know how to, if that comes across to you, how to respond, and not like that, I think is one of the things, like de-escalation and just, kind of serving as a mediator, and not only with the patrons, but sometimes, even between volunteers,
always
hopefully not as often, but, it could happen because, we're all human. And one of the things is that, and that's sort of, I realize like that can, when you go to work, your coworker may have had a fight with their mother, their spouse, their girlfriend, whoever it is that morning. And then they have to come in and kind of act like, oh, everything is fine and, you know, I can get this done or whatever, but like, you know, there may be a moment where like they either lash out or, you know, snap or just, you know, whatever it is.
Right.
And, you know, you kind of also as like, you know, a coworker or what have you, you know, a classmate, professor, whoever it is, or wherever you are, you know, you kind of mediate and kind of try and respond accordingly without, you know, in an appropriate manner. And I'm always learning like how, number one, how I would respond and also to not be that person to lash out. Like I need, like if, for example, I'm attending a volunteer project, I need to make sure that I don't, like I check the baggage, you know, at the door. So to speak, you know, I don't let whatever else is going on in that day or that week or whatever kind of enter in, you know. And you know, I think as a volunteer, you kind of have that duty to kind of not, you know, to rise above it. Yeah. And you know, I think that's always, I think one of the ways that I kind of approach it, and I try and learn like what's an effective mechanism or manner that I can, you know, either calm a situation or make sure that whenever I'm going into a situation, that I try and make it at least better. And then also, you know, it's funny because just in general, and I think especially during COVID, I've been noticing that, you know, because, you know, if you are emailing or texting more than talking in person and everything, things can get misconstrued and you may not even realize it. Or, you know, I know some people, like if they write all caps on an email, that may mean something, but not always. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes that's intentional, sometimes, you know, and there's not as much opportunity, I think, to correct that, you know, on email. And I mean, you can, but, you know, sometimes I like, you know what, I don't know why they're angry, you know, I'm just gonna not deal with it or whatever, and I'll catch up with it later, you know, and then you never kind of do, you know. And so I've been trying to like kind of gauge how, like when I compose an email or a text or whatever, as best I can, you know, try and make sure that, you know, even certain words, you know, just make sure that they're not coming off as inappropriate or in a manner that, you know, may not be what I'm intending, you know. So, but I guess, you know, honestly, I've been more, I think, trying to be cognizant of that. I sometimes change words, or I'm like, you know what, let me add a sentence or whatever, just to explain it, you know. I think with that, you do have a little bit more ability rather than, you know, in person. In person, you do have that ability, but you have to kind of think a little bit more quickly. And, you know, I guess, you know, it gives you a lot of, one of the things that I think I've learned is that, you know, in a lot of ways, you kind of pick your battles in terms of, you know, what you're gonna kind of follow up on, or kind of, you know, like if you see, for example, two co-volunteers or two co-workers or whoever, you know, they kind of are snarky to each other or not working well, you know, instead of, like, you may not be able to address it at that time, but you may be able to say, okay, why don't you go like wash the dishes if you're at a soup kitchen, let's say, and you can go outside and clear out the trash or clean up the tables, or, you know, whatever it is, like kind of separate them, so at least like the interaction doesn't escalate to something, you know, that's more serious. And you sometimes you're not always able to do that, but I think that's one of the things that, particularly if I'm team leading, and I haven't done that in a while, but I may try and do, or, you know, I'll just take care of the tasks that needs to be done, instead of like having either one of them do it. You know, if they're kind of like, well, I was going to do this, or I was going to do that. And you know, how come I can't, you know, do whatever? You know, that's one of the ways that that sort of, I think, like has been helpful for me. I don't know how you guys feel in terms of like how you guys approach those in, you know, in any context, whether it's professional, personal, you know, what have you, I don't know, but I think that that's one of the things that I always try and learn from others from as well. So I'd be interested to see like what you guys think has, if and when you guys are in that situation, what has worked?
Well, I'll tell you what's worked for me. When
Yeah.
I team led so many projects, but I think that before I team lead, I always like to introduce everybody and to have them say something about each other, about themselves, so the other person can know who they are. And if I see that there's a problem, I normally would separate those people. I put them in different activities so that they really did not have to come together. And I think that that as a team leader, you don't have that with virtual, because virtual, it goes so fast, you don't have that. But when you're team leading a project where you're going to be there for an hour and a half, the best project I was ever at, and Tofi was not at that project. And I won't say, well, there are two very good projects, but the one of my favorite projects was the Homeless Coalition van, which I team led. And every Saturday night, you never went there, Taoufik. Every Saturday night.
Before I come here to New York,
for a long time, before COVID. And every Saturday night we'd be picked up there at about 6 o'clock. And we get a choice of either going to downtown Manhattan or uptown Manhattan, and we deliver food. And there were like 5 or 6 people on the truck with you because you needed people who would deliver. And people, you know, but in the truck, we always spoke about what was good for us, what we liked about the project, what we didn't like. That was one good thing. So we managed to communicate before we even got to the project itself, where we had to communicate with all these people who were pushing to get into line. So you can imagine. I mean, you know, if they waited for that truck. Then there was another thing, which I thought was so wonderful. For some reason, I'm not thinking of the name of the church, but it's all the way up in Manhattan. It's on, I think it's somewhere near Lexington Avenue. And it's a church, All Souls. It's called All Souls. That's a project to team lead because they have teams. They don't have, and a team leader really has a job at that project. So if you want to be an active team leader, that's the place to go. First of all, it's at night. Second of all, it's twice the size of St. Bart's. And it's hunger, poverty with dignity, because each table is fit. Each table has like flowers or pretty things on it. And they serve them the fact that they don't get up like in the you know, like in the Bowery Mission. They don't get up and they don't food. You serve them. You ask them what they want and you serve them. And the one wonderful thing about that is because you don't feel like you're dealing, they don't feel like they're lower than the people that are serving them. Because everybody has to, the first thing that the priest tells them is service, volunteers is service with a smile. And we don't realize how important the communication of just a smile, not the words. Sometimes saying too many words is not good, but just the idea of smiling and spreading the sunshine a little really, really helps. So that's how I handle it. If I see somebody with a problem, I separate them. No, I'm not going to have them not do anything, but they're going to, one's going to work on one thing and the other one's going to work on something else, because otherwise you can actually, I left the project and it was a project that I liked because I felt that I saw a lot of prejudice and a lot of bigotry, and I can't work in a project like that. So I walked out of that project. I don't do that often, but I felt that I had to walk out because it was against my grain. And I think the best way to handle it, if you have the right form of communication in any project, in anything in life, it doesn't have to be a volunteer project. I worked for, and Taoufik was with me. We volunteered for 2 bridges. And I'll tell you, this is a small educational development center. It's not a school. It's on the Lower East Side. I have never
It's kind of after-school program for
right. It's
kids.
an after-school center. I have never seen the love and the warmth
Oh my God.
that I saw in that place. Every
And those
volunteer was
kids,
greeted, and I love to
kids-
greet the volunteers there because it was a project where I knew that they're going to love it because the kids were adorable.
Yeah, well, we get to be there for almost 2 years or 1.5 years.
They're a
And
lot
the
longer than
relationship
yeah.
we had with those kids, oh my God, it was really amazing. And till now, we got back and we mention and we remember those kids' activity, those kids' smartness, though, it's kind of being with such amazing kids, not only students, but kind of tight relationship we did with those kids. Later on, I can share some pics about those Two Bridges program. And oh my God, I still, and so Lynn, till now, miss them so much. Wow.
Well, I did speak to my now New York kids a little bit different, Sanam. When was the last time you team led a project?
Yeah.
In person before COVID, and there is one phone banking that I'm team leading now.
Okay.
That's a virtual one, yeah. But
Good.
I mean, I think virtual is quite different because, depending on the situation. And it was interesting, this past week, there was a town hall and they were talking about, like, I think it was for everyone, not just team leaders.
Yeah, no, I chose that.
Just for team leaders, yeah.
Yeah. And they were talking about how, they're trying to get back up to what they were before COVID. But it's interesting, and it makes sense, but I didn't really realize or appreciate this. They said, team leaders and volunteers have changed, and then also the staff on site.
Oh, they all the time.
This is what we noticed too, and Lynn can tell you more.
They have a volunteer now. What I was trying to tell you, Sanam, is now they have what they call a volunteer. I think it's a volunteer coordinator who is your specific person.
Right.
If you put down as a team leader, if I say I want to team lead this or this project, that person gets in touch with me. Not just the person who's in charge of the project, but that person.
But
And
there was
I didn't realize, but Bernadette doesn't work for the library. I thought Bernadette worked for the library. She works for OBT, Opportunity for a Better Tomorrow. Now, Lorraine, I don't want to leave you out of this, Lasita. Have you done any volunteering where you are?
Yes, at different times in my life, but not currently. When I was in London as a student, I had created actually a program where homeless mothers were getting babysitting. And
that's wonderful. I love that.
That was really a fun idea, and I hope people have continued it since then. So the mother would get to go off and I would get to stay with the kids and that kind of thing.
There was a similar one here. I'm in Hell's Kitchen area, Chelsea area, I believe. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but yeah, something similar.
So anyway, do recommend it to other people. It's really fun, especially when young people haven't got children of their own yet, and for them to spend some time giving some fun time is really special. I've also done some homeless distribution of food while I was a student in London, and in California, I remember at least a Christmas or a Thanksgiving getting to serve food. What I've done in New Mexico, I've worked a lot with peace activism, but I also volunteered at the Children's Museum for a while. So I was in charge of an area, which was a sweet little area with, they had like a greenhouse that was turned into a bird aviary. And so when the kids would come, I would show them various things. So it was children related. again in that case. Oh, and what I wanted to say was from the team leader, the volunteer leader of, it wasn't the Children's Museum, it was actually the Center for Contemporary Arts, which had films and art things. She was so appreciative of her volunteers, that her always saying how much she appreciated every little thing I did just made the whole job so much more fun.
It does. When you have to tell
Working with kids is a bliss. You know,
so
it's
yeah,
an amazing experience.
let's tell Lasita finish.
yeah. So I can't. So I haven't. So I suppose here more like, it isn't official volunteering, but I go and talk to old neighbors and.
Well, that's the same thing.
Wow.
Wrong way.
So that it's just local. And so this morning I was talking with a woman who's 86, and she must have repeated 3 times at least.
Oh, God.
You know, just sitting here, she was sitting outside her house. I get to see everybody come by, and maybe sometimes somebody stops and talks to me, and it was like so sweet.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
So sweet.
But you see, here in New York, we have what we call New York Cares. And New York Cares is the biggest volunteer agency here.
Yeah.
And but I did go to one that I liked, but it was part of New York Cares. It was called the Bottomless Closet. I don't know if you know about that, Sanam. Bottomless Closet. What they did here, Fran and I went, Tofi. What they did in Bottomless Closet is they helped homeless women who were going to go on a job interview, who finally had that chance to go on a job interview. And what is that? Who put that on? Tofi, that
New
you?
York
Oh,
is for Lasita. New
okay.
York is.
Well, Lasita knows. I've told her all about this.
Okay.
Thank you. The Bottomless Closet is a wonderful thing because what it does is it teaches them interviewing skills, and then it allows them to pick an outfit to wear to an interview. And they don't necessarily have to return that outfit. So
that's wonderful.
yeah, I think that's a wonderful way to help them transition. And then I went to I didn't team lead, and this was not a project, but I went into a shelter in Bushwick. I'm pretty sure it was Bushwick. And I helped with reading with the children and that kind of thing. Okay, Tofi, can you take that off so I can see everybody's face?
Yeah, I did.
Thank you, honey. So I did that because going into, not to get any credit or anything, just to do it. And I found that the kids and the parents, the mothers, most of it was called a transitional shelter. The children in this shelter were waiting to go into apartments, and their parents already had jobs. So now they were just waiting to get enough money to go into an apartment. The kids like to be read to. They did art projects, and I did that with my friend George. So to me, as long as you can communicate, even if you just take your body there, you don't even have to say anything because they really don't. The kids just want to, do their thing. And communication could be just nothing more than a smile. If you talk and talk and talk and talk, you don't gain anything. But if you show the joy that you're getting, I think that's the best form of communicator. To me, that's one way.
And to me, the communication part is, as you said, get the listening power, the powerful listening skills. It's more important because I'm learning in that, because most of the time, according to my culture, we talk too much and we jump on others, and we don't have the art of listening, the power of listening. So that's why you notice sometimes I jump on people, or it's not it is learnable, but according to the culture, I come from a special culture, and we have this even in the daily life or even the professional stuff. We don't have the patience to activate our listening power. That's why sometimes I'm learning, and yeah, I was so glad that Sanam suggested this subject.
A
And
wonderful subject.
in general, everyone is in the process of learning. Communication is, it's a huge, subject, and it is the core bone of every activity. Power of listening and the ability to communicate the right way. Yeah, that's why I
That's
like.
funny. You just brought up something which is very important. I used to ask my
Yeah.
kids about communication, my students,
Mhm.
because I taught all kinds of grades. They used to
Mhm.
say that communication is talking. And I used to
Yeah.
tell them that it's not only speaking, it's about listening to each
Listening.
other. That's where they had their biggest problem, was listening to each other. And by the
Yeah.
time the year was over, we developed better communication skills through listening. I said, everybody has a story to be told, and everyone wants to tell their story. We have to take the time to listen, not interrupt, and just to get our thoughts across and show people respect by listening to what they have to say.
Sure.
And that's a hard listening is not always easy because we tend to
Yeah.
want to jump in
Act-
and say
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And everyone has
Like
their own style too. Like, for
Yes.
example, like I've always told people that as volunteers, like I feel that I'm going into, like we are there as guests, right? And the
Yeah.
way I was raised is that, when you go into someone's home as a guest, you try your best to be, respectful and everything. And their rule, like if I remember there were some times when volunteers, they may not agree with how the staff at a certain site, let's say like a senior center, how they ran things or proceeded. And I told them, I said, you can definitely communicate that, but at the end of the day, we are there at the request of them. So we can't really, act in a way, but if there are certain rules, then we have to, abide that, because, we're there only for, let's say, an hour or 2 hours. The staff is with them every day.
that's right.
Yeah, so like that's also something, like again, it's not that even if the volunteer may not be wrong or had bad intention, but at the end of the day, and like Miss Lynn was saying, like if there's a project you go and you find that it does not working for you, you can maybe find another one, or go when when a certain team leader may not be there, if you're having issues with that, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, and I think Taufik's point about culture, especially in New York, for example, when we have so many different cultures, there's different manners of listening, different modes of communication that we all employ. So that's also definitely an important lesson, I think.
Yeah,
So,
correct.
yeah.
It kind of reminds me of one of the things that I have volunteered the longest at, but again, I'm not doing it now. Well, I also have a full-time job now, but was hospice visiting. And I think I may have mentioned this here, but certainly told other people about it recently. I lost my job as a hospice volunteer because.
Sorry, what do you mean by hospice?
I'll explain it to you later, Tofi. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hospice is when somebody's deemed as within 6 months of dying. It's visiting terminal patients. But I don't know if I talked about it here. There was a time when I phoned up the son of this old woman and told him that she and I had cried together, and she had asked him to make a visit in the next, maybe he was in a different state or something. I made an appeal to him to come and visit her. And the head of the hospice program told me that I had crossed a line, and that was not okay that I had done that. And also that I had practiced sympathy rather than empathy, because I had cried with the patient. And it was like,
it's so human what you did, though.
Excuse
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Please, let's see, you mentioned sympathy and empathy. So
Yeah.
please, can you tell me the difference between the two?
Big
Well,
difference.
I don't really know very well because I didn't accept his definition. So maybe we need to look it up and everything. But
Okay.
he was implying that empathy has a little bit more detachment rather than getting personally involved.
That's
I
That's
meant
it.
to
empathy is
visit
not getting personally involved.
dying patients and not take it personal in some way, not feel like I'm the patient and how I might feel. I mean, I felt like the distinction was too academic altogether and ridiculous. So it was up. But anyway, the issue was, okay, I don't need to work as a volunteer. She's in an old people's home. I can visit out of my own time and energy anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Stop me visiting the patient. I just won't be a representative of your organization anymore.
And New York Cares has so many rules that you don't see it in a virtual project, but you see it in a, well, we did see it, and you don't even know about this now. Now I'm going to go completely. Gloria is going for, I guess, her master's or some kind of program, and she wanted to put a survey. She wanted to give it to each member of our Thursday class, etc. And she said to me, "Am I allowed to do that? Not only to the volunteers, but to the other people. Like, I'm not New York Cares. I'm Lynn Rosen, team leader. I'm not New York Cares." I said, "Look, just to be careful. I didn't see anything wrong with it." I said, because it had to do with education, how you feel, getting the help, and all that kind of thing. And it touched on immigration too. So I said, let me check with my coordinator. And she said, and when I checked with my coordinator, there wasn't even a second. Emily. There wasn't a second that there was doubt in her mind. She said, absolutely not. We cannot do personal things. We cannot take pictures unless we're putting it on for the New York Cares website. We cannot do this. We cannot do that. By the time you get through with it, it's like a manifesto of what you can and what you can't do. I was glad I didn't say yes, you can, because part of me was, I was ready to say, what's the difference? But I didn't, and I checked in. And through communication, she told me it isn't done like that. And also, I don't know if you know this, Sanam, but when it comes to any sort of, and I've made this mistake 1,000 times, so I don't really care. But if it comes to any sort of a project that you're going to, you are not supposed to give any personal information to any of the people who are at the specific place, not to other volunteers, that's your business, but to the people who are at a specific place that are taking your services.
Yeah.
So, like, if I would turn around, and I didn't realize that. That's why I told Tofi not to put Lynn's kids on the screen anymore, because after I heard that, I never really knew. I've never really looked in a book or anything that said everything that we couldn't do, but there's a lot that we're not allowed to do, and I didn't realize.
And I don't like this part on your case. Hey, after all, we are there volunteering, okay? So we add value to New Yorkers. It's kind of represent the New Yorkers, but the way they, it's like they cut your enthusiasm to
your freedom.
No, your freedom, being honest, to give more. So after all, I don't mean that we do it just because we are not paid for that, and we do it by heart. So why you stop me? You make rules that sometimes work, but most of the time don't work. So this is let me say, the dark side of the moon with New Yorkers. I don't like a lot of their rules, really. And as our sister Lasita mentioned here, I want to be free. I do it by heart. So why you put me, don't do that, don't do that? And that's why, as Lynn mentioned it, I rather like this virtual staff.
Well, you
every day.
still have.
And there was a lot of change in New Yorkers. I have been volunteering since I come here, thanks to my beloved Lynn. And when I first volunteered, I never volunteered this way in my country. But when I came here, imagine Lasita and Sanam. I came March 2nd, 2018, and March 3rd, this beautiful lady took me.
It was March 5th.
5th, 3 days. She took me to a official New Yorkers volunteering project. So I was like, wow. So I used to go with her every volunteer activity just to learn. And I didn't even register for New Yorkers at the start. So I learned a lot, but still there was a big change in New Yorkers rules, in New Yorkers staff, even staff. If you noticed, lately, let me say 3 or 4 months, a lot of things changed. And New Yorkers now is not New Yorkers. I'm speaking about myself. As New Yorkers, I knew when I first come here. And they do a lot of, I'm sorry, wrong rules and they don't care. Even when we are in the process of volunteering in real physical sites, they never respond. Many things happen during your activity of volunteering, but sometimes this some stuff happen, and it happened to me. I won't mention everything in detail, but I had many. Let me say, wrongdoing from for volunteering people, and from the third parties. I mean, the company or organization we go to volunteer for on their behalf, but we are sent by New Yorkers as team leader. I've been team leader for a project, I won't name, and I don't want to involve anyone, but I have been hurt and treated wrongly. I was patient, and I said that to Lynn as team leader too, and so you should report. And I reported to New Yorkers staff. Okay, no one cared, and even happened to me a second time with the same third-party organization. I was really so mad. Until now, they never do their real job, and they didn't defend me as team leader or volunteer. I don't care if I'm volunteer or team leader. My aim is to serve others. And this is what I have learned from New Yorkers and from my wife, my beloved Lynn. So just to come back, a lot of things change, and they usually cut your burning desire to serve others. And this is not, believe me, it's not right.
What do you think, Sanam, about all their rules?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because particularly on projects where you see a lot of the same volunteers come, the same folks and the same patrons, they may become close. I remember there were certain situations where the patrons, and they didn't, mean anything bad by this per se, but they were like, oh, can I email you? Can I add you on Facebook?
Then you have to say no.
And, yeah. And how do you tactfully say that without offending them? They as patrons may not understand the rules. And in particular, for example, if there are privacy concerns, if this is, for example, a hospital where the patrons are patients, and you want to be respectful, but also, of course, follow the rules. Me personally, I'm not saying I agree with everything. And of course, you want to, be respectful of everywhere. I think in general, I defer to the staff. For example, if someone would like to me, I think in general, they are with the folks there more. They are able to better understand the patrons perhaps more. And, you know, I think that New York Cares doesn't run the show, right?
You're right. I agree.
They provide support, you know?
Yeah.
Like, for example, we are, you know, OBTs or what, that we are their guests. So like, if, for example, there are certain topics they would like us to not to discuss, they would like us not to, for example, there's a conversation project where we share screens, for example, sometimes, and we'll show, I mean, they are very, you know, various levels of language, right? So they may be very new. So we'll say, oh, this is a bridge. This is the Brooklyn Bridge, or, you know, whatever, or where would you like to go on vacation? And I show a picture of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, for example, or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. But others would like us to not do that just for, you know, privacy concerns. And, you know, for example, it was mentioned, you know, taking pictures. I think in particular with children's projects, a lot of people.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, and I understand, you know, you're having a good time and enjoying it. And you're like, let's say, hopefully in the fall, they'll come back. They haven't been there since COVID. Not that I've seen, at least, maybe they got full, but, you know, taking them in the fall to pick apples, you know, and you're taking pictures, or especially the field trip ones, you know, if you go to a movie, go to an apple orchard, you know, and I understand, you know, I'd love to it's fun, and everyone seems to be in a good mood, and it's a good memory, you know. And I've seen some folks that post, and they don't post pictures, but they will go into a lot of detail about their project, and in general, they're different. You know, I don't know what's in someone's heart, you know, in terms of their motives for doing that. I think it's a bit too much information, me personally.
Right. Sometimes people get excited, you know. I had to tell volunteer to put their camera away, and what he said to me was, "I'm just so excited. I'm having such a good time." I said, "I'm so happy to hear that." But fortunately, we have rules in New York Cares, and this is one of the rules, and that's it. And that's the way you get away with it, by blaming them.
But in general, concerning pic, I agree. They have all the right to ask volunteers to not take pics. It's privacy, yes. But it's not a mathematical rule. I mean, sometimes you can take a pic. You know, you don't need a you know, approval from your care, because the goal, depending on your aim, is to serve more, or even sometimes suppose that in some places that inviting people and teaching them about the value of volunteering, that's it. But in general, yes, I do agree. No, especially with kids.
No, I don't do that anymore.
And I agree. I totally agree.
I prefer virtual projects. I'll tell you the honest to goodness truth. Since Bernadette and COVID, it seems the safest way to go.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you don't have the craziness of New York Cares. As far as, I happen to love New York Cares, but you don't have that noose around your neck telling you, can I do this? Can I do it? You just do it. A virtual, we leave it to Bernadette unless we're in a room where we're alone. Lately, we haven't had that because she hasn't had the number of participants that she needs. We've had what we have to have, but she hasn't had it. And I feel we have no problems in that place because, as I explained to Gloria, and I had a long phone call with her about that survey thing, it's, even if we think that something is simple and easy, we're dealing here with a corporation, because any way you look at it, New York Kids is making a lot of money off of us because we're out there doing this stuff. And we have to follow their rules. Whether you like rules, if you can't follow rules, you don't belong in a place like that.
Yeah.
There are so many rules for everything.
Yeah, Lynn, I will mention that, just you mentioned it. They make millions from this volunteering. It's not only non-profit company Hey, wake up! They make billions. I will just jump to another subject. Is that there was a big difference between virtual meeting, okay, with John and inside meeting. So I will just let Lynn talk about one experience we just had with a volunteer activity with a family center in Harlem.
Okay.
And I won't say more. Lynn, can you just?
I just said it before, Tofi, so I really don't have to repeat it.
What we went through. It was
the problem with that center was that they were very, very bigoted.
Yeah,
let's face it, and they really, you know, they weren't really that gracious.
Yeah.
And to their volunteers, volunteers take their time and don't get a penny. That's why the word volunteer, you're giving from your heart. So you should be treated the right way, especially from the people you're helping. And
the third party, I mean the organization which,
can I finish? I was very enthusiastic about that.
I was shocked, I can't imagine. I was shocked. That's why.
And then when I saw the way that they handled things, I said, I can't work in a project that's bigoted. I really can't. Aside from the fact that I was going to an area that's not exactly the safest area in the world, I was doing it every week. It took me 2 hours to get there.
Right there, 3 hours.
Tofi, you wanted me to talk, so let me finish. 2 hours to get there, 2 hours to get home. So that meant 4 hours plus the time I was giving there. And so if you have people doing this, you should be a little bit more gracious to them, regardless of the color of their skin. Yet on the other side of the spectrum, I really never had that happen to me in a project before. I have been I have been in regular projects. I'm not talking about virtual. I have been very, very lucky in the projects that I've been. I've written books with children because they know I'm a writer. So I've written books with children. I've done so many different creative things with them. We put on shows. We did this. We did that. I never, other than that place, I never had a problem before. And so I could say I've been very, very lucky, and I will continue to do New York Cares until I can't, because I love it. I love the projects that they offer. I love the flexibility, because there's something for everybody. And I think that if you go into a project, you have to, and I'm sorry, I really feel this way, you have to be able to follow rules. I don't care who the place is or what the project is, you have to follow rules. If you're going,
you have to follow rules, but at the same time, you have to be respected.
Okay, if you follow their rules, they will respect you. That's just the way it
goes. I don't think so. I'm sorry.
I've been working there a lot longer than you. I have never been in a project where I haven't been respected. And that's why I say, so if you find a project that isn't a good fit, it's like putting on a coat and it doesn't look good, you're trying a different coat. You try a different project that works. As far as I'm concerned, when I first started that, here we'll talk about virtual, talk about communication. The first project that I did virtually was a project that, also another library project that dealt with WebEx. Oh my God, if you're not computer literate, that is a terrible project, because I had no idea what I was doing. Then I came to, and the people there didn't help at all. So it was just like, you know, figure this out yourself or you're hung. I did the project till the end of the time. And then I was so glad when the time was over, I never applied for it again. Now, Lasita, we have a project on Thursdays. It's wonderful. It's working with immigrants. It's conversational English. And I cannot tell you how helpful the staff is. It's one person, one staff member, Bernadette, who is so helpful and so grateful. And
for you, Lasita, Sanam is part of our.
Yes, Sanam is part. Well, I guess you could realize that because we're talking about all these projects.
Yeah.
So that's when we met Sanam. And I think you have to agree that you can't get better than Thursday, because Thursday is just calm.
Well, we love it.
Relaxed.
Oh my God.
Easy.
And the patrons seem very nice. You know, they like, it's just very, you know, they're very sweet.
The host is, oh my God, she's a professional, so kind, and she knows what she's doing. She's really a great host for this project.
Okay, so I think that today We got a lot of, because it's almost 2 o'clock. I don't want to keep anybody too long. I think today we got.
I will not minded by time. Let's
Okay,
go.
yes, Lasita has. Lasita, go ahead.
Yeah.
I want to show you my drawings.
Oh, I
this
love
is
your
the
drawings.
first one I did.
Wow. Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
It's
That was
beautiful.
The first one. And then this is the second one I did while we were talking.
Isn't that wonderful?
What I was going to say was I had wanted to actually do a teaching session on nonviolent communication. So maybe we will continue the theme of empathic communication next time. And
you're willing to lead that?
And I'm willing to actually work harder on preparing more. But there are 4 fundamental steps. And if I just tell you those 4 steps this time, when I continue next time, we can go into detail.
Okay.
Wow.
Number 1 is observation. Number 2 is feelings. Number 3 is needs. And number 4 is request. And before any of this happens, you need to give empathy to yourself and feel out where you are at and what you need before you start trying to guess what the other person may be going through. And then, and through the nonviolent communication, express empathy to them. I actually think empathy is what all good communication is about, is that we actually can feel what somebody else is going through. And I don't I don't accept that we can't be sympathetic.
Neither do I. I would jump right in there with you. I would have made the same phone call.
Teach me. Teach me, Lasita, teach me.
So next time, I'll find some of my old books. I'll find, and maybe General will help me even make a slide.
Oh, maybe he could visit us one.
Oh, that would be good.
Good.
Yes, I would love to meet him.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you.
Bring him sometimes in the future. We want to see Genoa.
Okay, I'll get him to come.
I got to see Shirley's husband, Frank. Now I speak to him all the time.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Sanam, for the wonderful idea. And thank you
for the conversation. You know, this is always evolving, and I feel this is an effective platform, a safe platform to learn, to make mistakes, and to learn from each other, the good, bad, and ugly. And you know, that's why I like, in general, volunteering I found to be a safe place. So just learn social skills, learn about people. And this one has also been in that regard. So thank you all for listening. And this is for the next topic. I think that would be definitely something to look forward to.
Lynn, if we can close this meeting by a prayer. To
go ahead, you're the big kahuna. Go ahead.
Yeah, she's big kahuna. Listen what she called me. I'm just human. I'm not a big kahuna.
I always call him the big kahuna. Go ahead.
Yeah. So our prayers are needed. You know, we don't have only to talk about material things in this world. We also have a deep spiritual part. So let me be short. I talk too much. This lady will have the sister maybe hard time in the future fighting a certain disease. I don't mention names. So, oh God Almighty, please make it easy for our sister to get a speedy recovery and to get support from all medical staff, and make our prayer reach her heart and be safe during her surgery. Amen. That's it.
Amen.
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 Okay. Okay, everyone. Thank you.
Have a good rest of the day, everyone. Be well.
Okay. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.